feel about a public outside swimming pool for our citizens? What are your feelings about a pool in Peru? If you support a pool, how do you fund it? And then a related question, why was the grant from the pod applied to the, maybe that's not related, never mind. But, I'm not from around here, so there are certain things I don't understand. Is the splash pod something pad, is that related to the pool?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Related question, why was the grant from the pod applied to the splash pad?
Well, I haven't really been sitting through any of the meetings that they've been having regarding the splash pad. But let me go back to about 8 years ago when the pool was demolished. There was a group put together, Friends for a Peru Pool, that wanted to raise funds for a pool/splash pad, which means that if you go over to LaSalle, you're going to see their pool, and then connected to that is a splash pad. So that's where this committee took off running with. And they started filling out grants for a splash pad pool, and what came across first was enough for a splash pad. So what they wanted to do was take it into 2 phases. They wanted to take a pool and splash pad and break it up so the funding could come through for that splash pad that they filled the grant out for. The problem that we're having is the current administration is looking at a the estimates that came across from a city phone that was FOIA was about $1.3 million for just a single splash pad. Splash pads are for the younger children. This is completely wrong. What we need to do is we need to look at a swimming pool that has a splash pad attached to it. We could build a pool, I've been talking to a lot of developers, for $1.7 million. And that is going to be used for everyone, whether it be handicapped, special needs, or whatever. And we could put the splash pad to that. Doing this splash pad alone over at where Washington Park was is completely wrong. So I believe that when I become mayor, we're going to fix that, and we need to focus on a swimming pool because that's what the people want, and they've always wanted that. They didn't want this splash pad. And there should have been communications between the city and the taxpayers before they went forward with this.
Mr. Perez.
Thank you.
And I apologize to whoever wrote that. Your handwriting's just fine. The question was, why was the grant from the pool applied to the splash pad? So, Mr. Giordano.
I think what they're talking about, or what the person was talking about, is there was an OSLAD grant that was received by the city of Peru, and I believe the amount was $256,800. And that was actually gotten back in 2015. So to the point of moving the whole thing forward, do we need some type of a recreation complex at Washington Park? Absolutely, I believe we do. Are there, as I travel around and talk to individuals and stop at households, I'd say that the issue is about a 50-50 split, quite honestly. I mean, there's a lot of people who firmly believe, for one reason or the other, that we need to have a pool, and they're very committed to that. In other words, they think that, if neighboring or adjacent communities have a pool, we should have a pool. Well, that's maybe not always, the correct reasoning, but at the end of the day, again, this whole idea of bringing in, keeping, and retaining families, young people, and bringing people back into the city, I think that a complex like that will definitely be an addition. Now, we've been working on this since 2010. 2010 is when the pool closed. So right now, you've got these bids for the splash pad, which is a portion of the overall development. That being said, the reason I think that part of it is going kind of moving forward now is we've had a $100,000 gift from JAHAP, and the Friends for the Pool have been working virtually tirelessly on this for that amount of years, 7 or 8 years. But, combined together, they probably put together maybe $500,000. So to Rodney's point, if you're going to try to build a $1.6 million splash pad, you're going to have to come up with the money somewhere else. The good news is we saved about $134,000 a year for the last 7 years not operating the pool. Where those dollars went, I'm sure they went to fill some other interest that we needed. But if the money was there to operate it, I would continue to believe that there would be a way to fund it.
Thank you, Jim. And Mr. Harrell.
Okay, the grant that you're referring to, was that the question? We've gone across, back and forth.
Why was the grant from the pool applied to the splash pad?
The grant was not for the pool. The grant was for a splash pad. You know, I've also heard out there that there are those saying that I changed the grant before we turned it in, which was insane. That it didn't happen, it can't happen, that would be illegal. The grant was for a splash pad. It was awarded to us by Governor Quinn in 2014. It was froze with the new administration. It finally did come through. This is where travel comes in. I was in Washington and I was talking with, at that time, Senator Kirk's people in Senator Kirk and Senator Durbin's people in Senator Durbin, because that money originates in Washington. It comes to the state and the state simply distributes it for 25% of they take 25% of the number. There was not a change. It was always for a splash pad. That's what it's for now, and that's what we're going to be building. The bids are in. The bids are being reviewed by engineering. As far as, was this a two-part question with the pool as well?
Oh, it's all pool, all about the pool.
So do we have 60 seconds versus, or 2 minutes? Whatever.
It seemed redundant.
Oh, okay, for the pool, the numbers that the candidate to my right just said are pretty close. We spent in 2009, the last year that the pool was open, the expense was $135,000, the receipts were $17,000. So roughly $114,000, $115,000. We had a structure that was built in 1927 that was leaking 27 or 70,000 gallons a day, that you could not sustain that facility. We do not have the money at this time, as I said before. I'd like new carpet, a new TV, a new couch, but my roof leaks. I have to fix the roof, and we're fixing the roof in Peru now.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen.